back to 20th Century Dude. Today we are actually going to be examining some movie mistakes or other video and audio errors that you may or may not have noticed within the Analog Pictures short film registry. So, I mean, we're not going to be going over all of them. There's about like one or two experimental shorts I'm going to be leaving out. But I think for the most part, we're basically going to be covering everything else, every little nitpick and error that has been in there that I have not either fixed once or is kind of a happy accident, so to speak. So we're going to be covering everything up from art class all the way to dandelions. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to Art Class. Today, we are going to be learning how to... Alright, first I just want to point out, first off, the thing with the two Owen Chewies there is not a mistake. It's a little gag I decided to put in when we were filming. As you'll notice, it is basically a set of twins. Only one of them runs out of the room, of course, later. And whether or not that is a mistake, we'll leave solely up to the viewers. I don't view it as such, but it is something I noticed after I filmed and edited it. Hey, the other guy didn't exactly run out of the room. And depending on what version of this film you watch, the first version I uploaded to YouTube years ago, it had what was called clipping, which is basically a little audio error, and for future versions, I sort of toned it down by taking the gain, lowering the gain a little bit, so hopefully it isn't as bad. But if you go back to the original cut, then yeah, you'll notice the audio clips probably a lot. I jacked it up in editing probably more than I should have, and the mic probably wasn't at the super best quality because, I mean, I wasn't working with Hollywood film equipment at the time, so oh well, I guess.
And it didn't look good at first, but then I put my imagination to the test, and I made it look good, and I made it something that I liked. That's all that matters. Or else you're just going to end up with a blank whiteboard or a piece of paper with nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be one of those things where maybe he's stupid and neglectful and isn't really noticing anything going on, but there are a few times, as you can probably tell, that he is looking over at the whiteboard, and for some reason doesn't seem to notice his own little cartoon character moving at all. Yeah, that's also something I didn't really think about until probably recently. I sort of anticipated when we were filming this that he'd be like looking straight towards our direction, but he tended to look back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So that's a little oopsie, I guess. And as you can also probably tell in the picture, the mouth for some reason seems to be overlapping with the little cartoon man's hand, and the thumb seems oddly placed on the left hand. So I would imagine that'd probably be extremely painful, but oops, anyway.
With your imagination, you can take a blank whiteboard and or a piece of paper.
And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that this isn't the whiteboard this time. This is just a flat static shot of the cartoon character, like literally just on a white background, the original white background that I would have had. I don't know why I didn't go back and just put like a flat shot of the whiteboard on. And you'll also notice there's a little like hairpiece up above as well that for some reason just kept disappearing, and I, I mean, it was kind of a little too late when I was editing it, but I didn't really notice it at first. Um, but yeah, as a director and editor, it really pays to pay close attention to your stuff because you never know what kind of mistakes you're going to encounter.
Paper and into something that's firm.
And again, it's also superimposed differently for some reason. I don't know why. And as you might notice here, I don't know if like something got recorded over or what, or if I accidentally trimmed out a few frames. But as you can see here, there is a slight jump from this position to this position. So again, another oops.
I think we got it. Uh-oh.
And yeah, if I had the chance to do this short film now, I would definitely do this shot much differently. What I probably should have done, of course, I didn't have a portable green screen at the time, is what I should have done was maybe put like the portable green screen like maybe on the door or even just another location, and I could have had them like run right in front of the green screen and then comp Charles and Chewie in there later and then put the cartoon character in there. Or if I was actually using After Effects at the time, which again I didn't have any Premiere stuff and Adobe stuff for myself, is I should have had the cartoon character maybe rotoed a little more properly. I mean, you can definitely tell where I purposely cut off the cartoon character in post, because it's not like fluid at all. It's just like a hard cut line, and unfortunately I feel like it is painfully obvious. One thing I also probably would have done differently too is maybe to have some kind of hand animated shadow. Again, I didn't really think of such things at the time, unfortunately, so again, another little oopsie on my part. As you can probably also notice, I didn't exactly use anything hand-drawn or anything from a Wacom tablet or anything. If any of you had like a Nintendo DSi growing up, some of you may remember Flipnote Studios, which is the little like animation app thing that they had on there, and I probably used that constantly. So what I ended up doing for most of the shots was I had a little blue background painted in the background, and then I had the white cartoon character, and then I could just cancel out the blue, bringing it into iMovie and Final Cut. But because it's from Flipnote Studios, I think you can definitely tell it's very pixelated around the edges. There's no smoothing or anything, which, again, I probably should have done. And I think there is a smoothing option in Adobe Premiere, which I could have easily went back and did, but again, I didn't have any Adobe stuff at the time. So you may notice it's very pixelated than what it should be. Another little mistake, why are in the middle of his eyes gone? You notice it for like a couple frames. All of a sudden, they just disappear for some reason and then reappear. It's very odd. It's very odd. The hallway here is, I don't think, a complete mistake, although I do wish I may have comped it so it was a little less obvious with the lights, because originally the hallway wasn't as long. You get about three-ish doors down, and that's where the hallway actually ends. But what I ended up doing before we went and shot was I took a picture of this hall. I basically took a plate, and then I took the same hallway and then basically duplicated it as a PowerPoint slide, believe it or not. So what you're seeing here isn't actually video, it's a JPEG image. And I think it mostly does the trick, although I think for one, I probably could have went back and duplicated it some more. But the lights there you see on top, they get a little slanted, so maybe you can tell it's a little off. But otherwise, that was kind of something where I really hope that you didn't notice that. The cartoon character does overlap with the door maybe a little bit. The hallway, as you can see, is white not only because of the color, but because also of just how bright it was. And when I went back and did all of this in post, I neglected to see this little piece of the door here. So it accidentally animates over the door a little, so that's my bad. His walking doesn't exactly move it doesn't exactly match the camera movement either. There's a little bit of shaky cam in there, which again I could have went back and stabilized, but I actually forgot to. So I think maybe going forward, this is why I should really be taking plenty of notes. And again, this is where the character being comped in doesn't match. I probably should have stabilized the background or maybe applied like a little handheld option for the character. That way, maybe he could sort of track with the background. And he is static while for some reason it is moving.
Uh-oh.
And I think obviously that was ADR. I basically took the same dialogue from a different take and put it in there. Charles, I think, was supposed to have a line, although I don't remember. But I kind of put that in there. But I think looking back, it's obvious that, oh, yeah, he doesn't actually say anything. Oh, and this is the big shot, big shot. I don't know if any of you have noticed this or not. Of course, the cartoon character isn't physically there, obviously, but neither is Charles. As you can see, there I put him in front of a blue screen. I didn't know if I really wanted him to make a big stunt in the hallway like that and accidentally hit his head the wrong way. So what I ended up doing was I got like a little. I projected a blue image onto a blank screen, and then I had him like basically like jump onto the stool almost, and then I could like put it in reverse, sort of. So that's what ended up happening there. But as you can definitely tell, there's a little hole in his jacket. There's a little bleeding, and of course I also had to do the best color correction I could to make it obvious that, well, actually, because there's a lot of shadow in front of the blue screen for some reason, so I had to try to brighten it up the best I could. And another mistake you'll see is the cartoon character isn't exactly moving the most fluid as he should. And there's also a little cartoon smack overlay that I put here. It really should be, I think, not only behind Charles's arm, but maybe comped a little more with the cartoon man's hand and closer to Charles in general. Not to mention, you see his hands sort of disappear for a few frames before coming back into the picture. So that's something I kind of hoped you didn't notice, but it's just an eyesore for me every time because that's just all I see. And Charles here. So the story behind why he's trying not to laugh. Of course, we had to get this shot, this take in one take because when we were done filming this, we were supposed to go to a movie afterwards, and we were actually running late for the movie. So we basically tried to get this last 30 seconds or so as quick as we possibly could. So for the rest here, it's actually just one take, but it's a pretty rushed first take. And as you probably notice here, this is actually the same shot, but I put it in reverse. And for some reason, I don't know why this is. His hand doesn't exactly look like a hand, uh, but it also comes in a frame late for some reason, and part of the edge is missing, and I don't know why it did that.
You've been erased.
And that's kind of another one I wish I can go back and redo, or maybe just adjust the position a little bit. The Cartoon Man doesn't exactly completely, it doesn't look like it goes in the eraser as it should, not until like the last couple of frames. Because as you can see here, for some reason, it's like closer to his hand. Whereas in the previous shot, it sort of syncs up a little better. And I guess we get to the first of the major problems here. I think for one, there wasn't really like any sort of story at all for the asset. Which, looking back, it's why this one exactly isn't one of my favorites. Because we were given the mission, we were given the get go, um, but there doesn't really seem to be any like purpose or any finality for that matter, really. And I think it was also because we only had a few hours to shoot this. I had a list of shots in mind, but we really didn't know where to take it because they had the actors had a whole bunch of like plot twists and stuff they wanted to do. And when Charles comes up behind Chewie at the end, and spoiler alert, that ended up being one of the ones we put in there. But ultimately, I feel like this is why this film doesn't exactly work as well as why I wanted it to. In addition, the text seems to look like it's, I guess, bleeding a little. I think next time I'll just take like the bold option off. And first off, there are people running on the baseball field behind us. Whereas I would have preferred that there had not been anybody running in there, but I didn't have the option to just digitally take them out. At that time, I didn't exactly have the fanciest of editing tech. I probably could go back and do that now, but that's just one of those things that happened to be in the film that I didn't want there. And yes, I know, Lincoln Park, that's a little spot on. I get it. And I think one of the also one of the other major problems is there just was a whole lot of light coming in, and that's why it always looks like super bright. There's too much white, and probably should have had the contrast put in there to help fix the image. But the problem is with the little camcorder I only had at the time. The only thing you could do was lower the exposure, but then there wouldn't be as much light coming in through the lens. So it would look a little too dark coming in the edit. But I suppose maybe that's a risk I probably should have taken at the time. That was not a camera zoom, by the way. I did that in editing, so that wouldn't have been my camcorder anyway, because the way my camcorder would zoom in, it would get super grainy the closer you got into something, which is why I tried not to use it if I didn't have to. For some reason, this little Uncrustables product placement we had in there, which was just kind of a joke we had. Oh, what if we had product placement in here? LOL. But this was literally just a quick 5-second shot I got of the Uncrustables bag, and I don't know why, but it looks like blurry and out of focus. But my camera didn't really have focus options, so I didn't know why that'd be the case. There's supposed to be not a squib because we didn't have access to squibs. So what I ended up having to do in a few shots was green screen in some uh, blood to make it look like he's been violently shot, and that's why you see bullets coming out of the obviously fake guns. Um, Only for a frame or two, it might be visible to see the blood. But other than that, every time I like point it out to people, they've never noticed it. So it's here in the first frame, if you can see. It's there a little in the second frame, but I maybe should have upped the brightness. I don't know. It's not the only blood problem we've had in a short film. We'll get to that later. But it's just it didn't turn out as visible and didn't comp in right the way I wanted it to. Here's a problem. Why is Shuey in the shot when he really shouldn't be sitting down there yet? Um, I don't know why I neglected to remove that. I probably could have, but I didn't. Here's a little mistake. Of course, we couldn't help it because we didn't have anywhere else to park. Uh, but my car, the Honda, as you can see there, and I think that's Shuey's car if I remember right, and I can't tell what the other car is. Um, they're all in shot. They really shouldn't be in shot because it's kind of obvious. Oh, there's more than one person here. But again, we didn't really have anywhere else to park, so there you have it.
Breeze.
I do really like the shot before this, but yeah, I don't know what it was with Danny Kaye's audio. It just didn't come across very well, and I don't know why. I don't know why if the mic just decided for a couple minutes to take a break or something. It sounds very washed out, and I did have to really up the gain, because for some reason he came across very quiet, and I don't know why.
All right. Now, get on!
Yeah, I will admit I didn't really frame a lot of these shots right. Again, with the limited amount of time we had to film, that probably didn't really help. Breaking the 180-degree rule is something that's probably very common in my earliest short films, so I do apologize for that. Yeah, there's another issue here. See, there's where I hope the squib came off a little more visibly this time, but for some reason it's only there in like 3 frames, where it should be like a little more than that. So I don't know if I forgot to like render the rest or what, but it's just kind of odd to me.
I'm to finish this.
Uh, yeah, he kind of did repeat dialogue here, but I didn't really have another shot of him going forward where he didn't say any dialogue, so this is basically the closest thing I had.
Hasta la vista, baby.
This is one of the most confusing parts of the film, and I do get that because this was a little plot twist they decided to put in, but of course it maybe doesn't work as well as it should because the shot before, Charles should be clearly out of the picture, and yet for some reason, there he is right behind Shuey. So, like Shuey, does he himself have a twin? I guess the speculation is up to you, dear viewers. I do really like this sort of 70s retro music here. For some reason, this as well just looks very blurry, and I don't know why. I also think the text here it leans a little too much to the left for some reason. And again, I don't know why that is. I probably should have moved it over a little bit. I do feel like, for one, the interrogation is a short film that really has a lot of problems for me. It's not my favorite, but again, I don't know if it's really the worst thing I've ever done for sure. And I think the first problem, as we see here, it takes too long to get going. I may have been too overindulgent for the whole thing. So it takes like a full minute before we even like get to the action and get to what's actually supposed to be going on. And the reason I had the burnt film and broken film overlay in the film in the first place was the lighting ended up being so poor. I needed to have a way to have it covered up. So that's where the grindhouse element sort of came in. But yeah, and that's another detail I probably should have put in there. There is no gate weave this time. There's gate weave in the last film, The Asset, but for some reason, and again, this is a film that really should have used it, but for some reason I neglected to put it in. As you can probably tell throughout really a lot of the film, it's just very obvious that it's not very well lit. There's a lot of background information where it really shouldn't have been. And even when I dialed down the light, for some reason, like there were times it was either not lit enough, so you could barely see their faces, or it was too lit and you can see too much of what was going on. But there was no middle that I could achieve. I guess this is my fault for only using one light and thinking you could only use one light for the set. I was wrong.
Why am I here?
It's very complicated.
Why can't you just let me go?
This shot in particular, it's very emblematic of the production troubles, I guess you can say, and the uh, lack of foresight, and I guess on my part. And one obvious detail in there is that for the interrogation, he isn't actually smoking an actual cigarette, as you can see. It literally is just a white pen. So maybe that's why it's obvious that smoke was sort of green screened in there.
Why did you kill that woman on 13th and Lucky Street?
What woman?
Yeah, and here's definitely another bot shot. Please try to avoid the obvious camera that is sitting there pointing the light. I mean, in universe, I mean, technically they need some sort of camera in there to video this, but why would they be using, again, I guess a 2018 camcorder shoot basically on film stuff? That's kind of another thing. Not only that, it's very obvious that the audio sort of like moves from not all audio channels, but just to the right. For some reason, I never fixed that. And of course, this move you see here isn't a camera move. I had to do this little pan in editing.
Let's try this again.
I wish I could with this film.
Why did you kill the woman on 13th and Lucky Street?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this shot here, this is one that got really marred, because the lighting was basically not lit enough. But if I even increased it just a little bit, then it revealed too much background information. And this was actually from two different takes, and I hope to disguise it, and maybe I didn't do it well enough. But the dialogue doesn't exactly match Dad's delivery very well, maybe not until the very end, but it's very obvious to me that, yeah, this is two takes I ended up trying to make into one shot.
I didn't do anything.
First off, I wish I probably could have brought the music in a little more subtly, but yeah, also, there's a treadmill. It's just there. Yeah, this is a shot I really wish we had more time to work on. We had to get all of this done in like 12 minutes. I wanted to be there for more than a half hour. But a little behind the scenes fact that was for some reason this weird creepy guy like screaming at himself in the street. So we had to cut this a little shorter than what I would have wanted. And of course the lighting again was Not as bright as what I would have wanted it to be. No remedy there, hence Grindhouse.
Just admit your guilt, and this will all be over.
Spreeskov, do you think I actually feel guilty for what I did?
There is the obvious smoke. I think it was obvious that the opacity was raised for the shot.
For what I did?
Several of the frames, for some reason, I don't know why I didn't have a better eye for this, they sort of repeat. You could see in here that the table starts to like go over, but then he sort of flips it over again in this shot. So a little oopsie. Oh yeah. Yep. Pink blood. I don't know what I would have done wrong comping this in. I've no idea. Of course, I can honestly go back and recolor it, but I don't. Maybe it was I had to like rush this because it was like due for class soon. But yeah, I hate the pink blood. I hate it. He's not a Klingon. He shouldn't look like this. This shot, for all this film's faults, I really do like this shot. You really can see the menace in Uncle Preston's eyes. And books. It's just so obvious that there's books.
Now you'll regret killing my daughter.
Yep, that was from the asset, the same blood effects. I literally did take it like that shot, so yeah. And again, where's the gate weave? Could have been used in this, but I guess I neglected again.
Alright, you can take a seat right there. I'll go through your file. I understand you're taking things.
Yes, doctor.
The dialogue probably could have been raised a little bit. I understand the music is probably a little too loud, so you probably can't hear Colin as well when he says, I understand you've been taking things. And again, we didn't remove enough white from the table, so it was maybe a little overlit in the room.
Sorry about that. Okay, I could have sworn there was a pencil right there.
Yeah, we accidentally moved the camera. I don't know if you could tell. I hope you didn't, but now you know.
Perhaps the dosage is just a bit too... Aha!
Why?
Yeah, the hands don't completely match the shot. For some reason, Corn's hands go from down to automatically up. Not to mention the fact that the prescription is in Colin's wrong hand. It goes from being in his left to his right, and the right should honestly be down anyway, so another little oops.
But you did. I didn't. You did.
I don't know why that's a little out of focus. Who knows?
I didn't. You did. I didn't. You did. I didn't, dog. I swear. Alright, you leave me no choice.
Yeah, Corn's trying not to laugh, but at least he didn't ruin the take. If you could see here right in the corner, yeah, there's Ethan Hanley's shirt. He was wearing a white shirt that day. He was, I think he was doing sound. Let me double check. It just says crew, but I am pretty sure he did do sound, so... Oh well, it is what it is. I mean, at least the teacher didn't notice. For all the Star Pilot's merits, and I will say it is one of my favorite shorts that I've ever done, again, to a point, because there are a lot of special effects issues that we could just pick apart in this. I think first off, you see the like star there on the left. Once it fades in, yeah, see it goes left and then it starts to go right. And then the asteroid, I could never comp this in right for some reason. I always had to lower the transparency. I could never up the color. I don't know why. And ultimately had to make it a little too soft. That way I can mask any luma key errors that might have been present in the shot. This is a pretty big visual error because the text comes in, and for some reason it is black behind where there shouldn't be. It should just comp in right. I think I might have had this in front of another Starfield at one point, but this is the closest I can get without losing the opacity of the text. I don't know if you've noticed as well, there's a little bit of a black line bleeding into the star, and I don't know why, but it was nothing that I could fix. Since basically all the starships were put together in Maya, I designed them in Maya using basically basic shapes. Again, it's another one of those things where it didn't comp in the way I wanted it to, because for some reason there's a bit of a pixelated edge around the entire thing, but nothing I can do about it. In addition to that, sometimes the ship bleeds into the star field, so if you go to this frame here, you can definitely see stars in the cockpit where the pilot should be.
Central Space Command, this is
Another little error, you'll see the what appears to be a ball in his hands, which disappears sometimes. It's actually supposed to be hands, but for some reason I couldn't animate hands in Maya because while I am talented, I am not that talented. So sometimes it will just plain disappear. And again, there is nothing I can do about it. And the neck there in the pilot too looks a little odd, but occasionally, yeah, you'll just see it disappear. In addition to that, as you can see, we have the star pilot as one layer, the starship is another layer, Starfield has another layer, and there's actually a chair he's sitting on in the back. That is the only piece of actual filmed live action that I had comped in there, is literally just that chair.
Pilot XX-30. Please come in. I'm tracking an unknown attack ship.
For some reason, when we also get closer to the planet, it loses some video quality. Again, can't be helped.
Color and system. I'm making my approach to it now.
If you notice, for some reason, in the first frame, there are some black lines on the planet that are there for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a matte thing or a masking thing or what, but I really could not tell you. In addition to that, for some reason, when the ship starts moving around the planet, it also becomes extremely pixelated, which I hate.
Central Space Command.
The planet should also really be in the shot, so I don't know why it's not.
This is StarPilot XX-30. The vessel is not responding to any of my frequencies. I'm going to assume that this is a hostile threat, and I'm moving in for an attack.
Yeah, I don't know if any of you noticed the Starfield do a little frame jump in there. Another little oopsie.
threat, and I'm moving in for an attack.
And the reason that shot happened, the little Starpilot ship was supposed to just fly behind the enemy ship. But for some reason, I could just not time them right frame by frame. So this is the way I had to do it. That he like flies under and then it comes like over again. You'll also note that the starfield here for some reason appears and reappears. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
The ship is in range. Targeting now.
Yes, that's from Star Wars. I probably didn't do a good job hiding that like I should have. Here's an error. Why are the lasers blue when most of the time they're white? Oh my goodness, and this was quite a shot to put together, let me just tell you. So not only did the ships appear pixelated, and sometimes very details like the little gun turrets, they'll just disappear from time to time. You'll also notice that for some reason the asteroids and debris don't match with the starfield moving wise. But the lasers are also comped in the weirdest way possible. Sometimes they appear right on the ship and then go fire. Again, nothing I can do. This was the only way. It's the only way I can make the shot work. You'll notice here for a few frames, it appears to, for some reason, explode twice. Don't know why that is. It just does. And the last several frames also do appear to be transparent along the starfield. Maybe you consider that a mistake. I don't know. I mean, I do, but maybe you don't. Again, for some reason, it keeps getting more pixelated the more it like zooms away from the camera. As you can also see here from the other enemy ships, there's a ship. It has a little bit of a jump. Sort of jumps in this frame. I don't know if you can see that really well. Right about here. Yep. Oops. In this shot, we had some clear transparency issues. For some reason, the chair is up higher than it should. You can also see this enemy starship from behind the chair. And not only that, even the pilot itself seems to be partially transparent for some reason. Now he's blending into the rest of the ship, and I don't know why that is. There is also no green light in the enemy ships. I don't know if it was a green screen error or not. In this shot, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we have a little ship here that comes in a frame late, and we're going to be doing a little slow version of this, as you can see. They move, and that laser didn't go right. And then not only are we missing part of the starfield, but the ship in front here, it just sort of disappears for some reason.
Central Space Command, I could really use some reinforcements right.
There's also some more miscolored lasers and effects there. Maybe I should just kept consistently white. As you can see here, there's actually, for some reason, stuff missing. So the lasers don't completely go across the whole screen. They just sort of, I don't know, like, disappear in this corner of the ship, but then for some reason the other starships sort of just swoop in from over in this corner. And I also used film dirt as a starfield for some reason. I don't know why.
Reinforcements right about now.
The laser sizes themselves are also inconsistent.
Pilot
This ship here kind of just blows up. I don't know if I forgot to put lasers there or what. There's a yellow laser. That is not supposed to be there.
We're heading home.
That's a 10-4. Thanks for the assist.
Here's some audio errors. Why is the audio scratchy? Thankfully, The Devil Drinks Decaf is a short film that didn't really have a lot of errors in there, which I am extremely happy for.
He finds the true meaning of Halloween.
And there's Jackson laughing at himself for some reason. I feel like when I went back and re-edited it, I sort of forgot that little detail. Because I didn't have a lot of shots of the extras to use. The girl who first edited Jenna, all that stuff would be on her hard drive. So I'm just pulling what would be available to me off of the OneDrive we had for school, and didn't have a lot to work with, unfortunately.
I'd love to stick around, folks, but I'm not the only act tonight. Thank you, and good night.
No, that tag is not a mistake. It is supposed to be there. It's part of the gag. Jackson also reappears there when he wasn't really in the crowd before, so I guess he just sort of has that sort of presence.
That was kind of a performance you gave in there.
Look, can you just leave me alone? I don't need to know that I just bombed.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's an error we had here. So we didn't have Ned yet. We didn't cast him yet for the Devil because he wasn't available for that day. So I ended up having to stand in, and that's why he uses my jacket later. And the dialogue, because we had to go back and put in ADR when there wasn't originally ADR when we showed the class. I mean, for one, it's obvious that Ned's in a different room. It doesn't match the outdoors. But the awkward silence there is just noticeable every single time.
I was afraid you were never going to call.
Yeah, well, me too. But I need all the help I can get. So you said you had a lot.
Those rotten frickin' mirrors. I'm telling you what, I know the professor told us about that when we screened the short film. There was nothing we could do to possibly cover up the frickin' mirrors. We did not have all the special digital trickeries at our disposal at all. We had no way of erasing any of the crew members out of the shot. That's why you see a coat and a backpack there, attempting to cover up the camera, but you can still see me in the mirror with the red headphones. It's just something that's never, ever going to be going away, unfortunately. It's just too obvious. There's Tommy looking right at us when really he shouldn't be. Off was a short film that I feel like really worked out in the end when I really didn't know what I was doing when I initially filmed it. So luckily there's not a whole ton of mistakes other than things I'm basically going to notice. I think first off, there's a bit too much of a Luma bleed here with Corn on the rainbow bed.
Do you ever get the feeling that something's just off?
There does appear to be some audio noise, but hey, maybe it's just off.
Like something is messing up visually, your head?
These shots here was something when we screened it in the experimental class. This is something everybody really liked, and the professor was really impressed by this. The only thing I would say really went wrong was probably the door opening here. I feel like there's a little too much shake in the camera. And there's also a little bit of a little matte line, a little matte bleed in there. So I'm sure with some professional fine tuning that could instantly go away. But other than that, I feel like this turned out to be like really, really well. Oh yeah, and that's right. Part of Corn's glass rim is missing.
Or that life is just one bad effect after the next.
So, as you can probably see here, for a majority of the film, what appears to be little like digital blemishes is film grain and film dirt that was not comped in right. And it turned out as this glitchy mess, but ended up really working very well. And one thing I noticed just recently was it does appear to be correct here in this shot for some reason.
I do feel like it's.
Yep, this is where the little glitch effect actually appears to help the film more than hinder, so a little happy accident. One thing the professor did complain about was in this shot was there appeared to be no effect in place, whereas the other ones did have some kind of effect. But is there, though?
Something's messing with my head.
And when Corn opens up the computer here, very obvious that these are actually the instructions I gave him for literally not only what he's supposed to be doing sitting here, but for the entire film and when we're walking around and whatnot. Oopsie. This is a shot I would like to have done again if I were able to. I'd love it to just be endless loops of Corn just looking right into the computer screen. It's just endless. But it didn't happen that way. If you pay attention here in this panorama shot, what's on the TV at the time, this is actually a PNG image, but what you see on the TV is actually a Star Trek Next Generation episode where the crew is undergoing and experiencing some surreal nightmares. And considering what this film turned out to be like, I feel like it turned out to be a really, really, really great fit and I think adds to the detail of it all.
Something is definitely off.
So yeah, in this shot, you previously saw him looking at himself in the mirror, and now all of a sudden he's gone. This wasn't really hard to do. All I had to do was basically take him away and sort of split the screen several different ways, but there is an obvious, what looks like a shadow is actually a matte line. But other than that, I feel like nobody really noticed, other than me pointing it out right now. I decided to do this little intro. This was actually originally an After Effects project. We had it in an editing class. I basically wanted to be a tribute to all the analog short pictures that I had done prior to Dandelions, and then I could stick this in front of Dandelions. I think going forward, I probably will stick Dandelions in there somewhere. I don't know how. But if there was an error that the teacher did notice, she did say that all the stuff in there was timed differently. All the video clips you see in there were timed different. Yeah, there's actually a little frame glitch in there that I forgot to take out when I was editing the thing. You see here going backspacing, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a shot here on the bed there, a medium shot, and then there's a close-up automatically. It's supposed to just go from typing to close shot, but I forgot to take that out.
Play it again, Mr. Harrington.
Sorry, Carl. Like you last night. Just find an empty seat.
So I had plenty of audio fixing to do. For some reason, there was too much room noise in there. So if the audio sounds funky in this classroom, particularly when he comes in, this is why. Oh, and then I kind of just disappear from the movie. So, yeah.
I feel like I haven't seen you before.
We also didn't get as many extras as what we wanted. That's why we have some of the crew filling in. You saw me. Jenna is actually in the back there behind Tanya, and then beside her is Charlie, and he helped us out with some lighting and sound. So at least some good use there.
It's probably a good idea to be sitting up front. You gotta stay awake so.
Yeah, the snow does not come in right at all. Not only is it a frame early, and now you can see it right in front of the actor, but for some reason it's just a couple still frames of the same thing, and it doesn't really move until give it a little bit here. Yep. The reason I had to comp in some snow was this was the first scene we shot. But the more we went on, the more we went through the different angles, the heavier it actually started to pour down. So to match the shot, I actually had to like go back and then comp in the snow, even though it was requested multiple times to go do that. Here's a little frame glitch. Don't know what that's all about. I'll let you be the judge of this shot. Do you feel like there's too much contrast I put in here? I did a little bit of tweaking with the light options in Premiere. Did I go too far in a few places? My family and the people at school thought it was fine. It might have been too much for me. I don't know. Yeah, I wish I did this sequence of shots a little differently. We have a little glitch with the credits. The end sort of wanted to sneak up there a little bit. It sort of jumped a few frames. Other than that, I really hoped you enjoyed this look at all the little bits of oopsie doopsies I've made over the years of my analog picture short films. A little surprised too. I don't know if recently any of you have seen the trailer, the little teaser I put out. I'm hoping to actually have an art class 2 releasing shortly. A sequel to any of the shorts I would have done is something I really wanted to avoid for years. But I figured the friends I worked with on it really just kind of wanted it. So I feel like, all right, this is more my gift to them that we can finally do an art class 2. And it may or may not connect to certain other things that I've done prior. So we'll keep that little cinematic universe secret under wraps. So otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great rest of the day, and see you.